Good morning, Toastmasters, and welcome to the kickoff meeting for the Road to Regina Paving the Way series. I am Debbie Walker, this year's District Conference Education Chair. 2 years ago, I attended my very first district conference. And when I look back now, I can see how my life was changed as a result of some of the connections that I made back then. My desire is for you to have the same life-changing experience that I did. Today, we begin our journey towards the district conference that will be held in Regina, May 3rd to 5th. And my challenge to every club in our district is to send at least one member in person to the conference. That person can collect the key learnings and lessons, take them back to their club where all members can benefit. As some of you know, we did have a speaker change for this morning, and I am thrilled that he is here with us to send us on our way. I now turn the virtual lectern back to our Toastmaster of the day, our District Conference Chair, Leanne Woodhouse.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you everyone for joining us on our first stop on our road to Regina. We'll share some exciting information on the final stop on our journey, which is the District 42 conference, at the end of today's session. But to help us add fuel to our journey, we're going to be making 4 stops along the way, with each one featuring an engaging and dynamic speaker on one of the 4 Toastmaster core values. Our first stop is service. Our speaker today joins us from Mississauga, Ontario. Brahm, Memone, a leadership architect, is a 3-time distinguished Toastmaster who attributes his success to serving. To him, everyone he encounters is someone that he can add value to. Service is, after all, adding value, connecting, and finally collaborating on common outcomes that serve us all. Today, Brahm is going to speak on his favorite subject, service. Please welcome Brahm Memone.
Paving the way. Let me tell you a little bit about a certain gentleman. This particular gentleman is a remarkable gentleman, Dashrath Manji. It's a story of a remarkable tale of selfless service. Now, can you imagine this gentleman here took a hammer and a chisel and chiseled away at a cliff for 22 years. 22 years, chiseling away at a cliff. Why would he do that? Well, hang it tight. I will tell you later as to why and what he was doing. We are so used to talk about, heroes of today. And whenever we think of great people, we think of Martin Luther King Jr., we think of Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or Mother Teresa, right? Those names always come up. We always talk about those, but the unsung heroes like Dashrath Manji, we never hear of that or what they did. Why was this guy chiseling away for 22 years at a cliff by himself? He was paving the road, just like we are here today, paving the road, paving the way to Regina. Here's another guy named Jadev Payeng. Yeah, I know it's difficult to pronounce, right? But Jadev Payeng, he came across near his home a barren patch of land, and he saw that the wildlife was dying. He decided to do something about it. And for 40 years, 40 years, he started to plant trees and to water trees and became a huge jungle where tigers thrive. Tigers, rhinoceros, deer, wildlife returned back to this place where there was nothing. It was totally barren. Service. That is service. Selflessly giving, generous, building community, stewardship. That is service. Unsung heroes. Nobody knows. They didn't do it for titles, status, prestige, entitlement, nothing. They did it because they saw something was missing and they said, what can I provide my community so that it thrives? What about a guy called Bai Fangli from China? At the age of 74, he retired. He was a pedicab driver. What's a pedicab? Well, here, this is what a pedicab is. Oops, I pressed it too quickly. So this is what a pedicab is, right? Looks like I have to get my technology right. And so for 74 years, he was riding this and making some money for his family. When he retired at the age of 74, he was passing by a field and he saw children working in the fields. And he asked, why are the children working in the fields? Why aren't they in school? He was told they have no money to pay the fee. He said, I have to do something about it. He went back to work at the age of 74, out of retirement, and until the age of 90, was working this pedicab and donated $50,000 for the children's education. At the age of 90, he said, I can't do this anymore, retired, and 2 years later passed away. Unsung heroes. They did something for the community, for stewardship. When they saw something was missing, they stood up, stepped forward, and did something. Service. What about Osceola McCarthy? You say, okay, these people, these names, I don't even understand. Osceola McCarthy was right here in Missouri, Mississippi, somewhere, North America. And she was a washerwoman. And a washerwoman who lived very frugally, saved $150,000. You heard that right. $150,000 and donated it to the university for the graduates, undergraduates for the university to pay for their fee. A woman who lived very frugally, didn't even have air conditioning in her house, nothing, paid $150,000 for people's education because she saw something was missing in the community and she wanted to do something for the community. Service. That is what I mean by service. This is what I want to talk to you about today is what are we doing here in Toastmasters? Are we serving? How does this organization even exist? This organization only exists because we are generous people. Toastmasters are very generous. They see community, they see that there's something missing, that they stand up and step forward and serve. Just like Leanne here or Deborah, they're serving. So what is service according to me? Anyways, in my experience, not looking at anything else, but just in Toastmasters, my experience right here is, of course, one of our core values. And we all know our core values are what? Our core values are integrity, respect, service, which I'm talking about, and excellence. And you'll hear about those other core values along the way to Regina. But to me, in Toastmasters, service is all about community building. Just like Osceola McCarthy, or Bai Fangli, or Dashrath Manji, or Jade Payen. Unsung heroes. We are unsung heroes. Nobody's going to sing. Okay, they might give us a plaque. They might give us a certificate. And a few people might say thank you, but we are really unsung heroes. You will not see me or you or Deborah or anywhere in big newspapers and on TV and on CBC and CNN. No. We are building community. And what does it mean by building communities? To focus on the betterment of Toastmasters, to focus on the betterment of our clubs, our areas, our divisions, and our district, and internationally, globally. How can we make our community better? How can we make it stronger? How can we make it bigger? How can we serve so that people get educated? Just like Osceola McCarthy donated $150,000, or Bai Fangli at the age of 74 started back into his job to collect $50,000 for people, for his students. Betterment of community. It's stewardship, it's ownership. I'm in Toastmasters, and I only pay $60 every 6 months, plus, of course, my club's payment for rent or extra expenses. And I get so much out of it. There's mentors and supporters, and people sort of evaluate me and lift me up every time I come into Toastmasters. And I feel that I need to give back. There's an ownership here, a stewardship. What can I do for others? They are doing so much for me. I mean, when I come to speak right now, somebody's got their hand up and they're timing me, right? And I don't have to worry. I just have to look at whoever is timing me, and I have to look at the clock over there when the colors change, right? They're serving. I just heard. I was back in my club right now. Leadership Speak. We meet Saturday mornings. It just finished and they arrived here. A certain gentleman was saying that when he first, in his speech, he was talking about when he first joined Toastmasters, right? They said, you be the sergeant at arms, you're brand new, so it's an easy job. And he said he hated his job at first. Sergeant at arms, carrying all those, in the days of pre-pandemic, or of course those people who are still meeting, who are now meeting physically, right? He said I had to carry all the slides and all this equipment and go an hour before and set up everything. And he said, I hated it at first. I hated that so much. Then I realized, he says, I was learning about being part of a community. I was learning how to be a leader by serving. There you go. By serving, by stewardship, we learn something. We are always learning. If you're not learning something in Toastmasters, I say, don't do it. By serving, we're actually learning, and I'll go into that a bit more. But stewardship is so important in terms of we're taking responsibility for the welfare of the community, showing a commitment to serving others to make things better for others, because they are making things better for us. So, for example, whenever I come to this part of my speaking, I always look at the screen, and I'm going to look at the screen again, and I see so many blank windows, right? All the videos are off. Now I'm wondering, why are these videos off? Now, I'm serving right now, and to complete the circle, you need to switch on your videos. Thank you, Hannah. So that the circle is complete. So when I'm serving, you have to serve me back. It can't be a one-way street. Service is never one-way street, right? I don't like talking to blank screens. I could have just sat in my own room and talked to the walls here. And so if you can switch on your videos, then we can complete the circle. So there's stewardship both ways. We are taking responsibility for each other, holding each other accountable. Thank you, Claudette. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. I love it. So let's give a thumbs up for that. Yeah, awesome. See, when I do a thumbs up, this is what happens, right? And then let's do peace, right? Perfect. Awesome. I love it. I love you guys. Thank you for switching on your videos. For those who are not able to switch on your videos, all right, not a problem. Maybe you are sitting having breakfast or something. I don't know. Okay, so let me go back and switch on the speaker view so I can see myself and my screen behind me. Okay. Are you committed to growth of people? I am committed to growth of people. I like to see people's faces light up, or either expressions or frowns, whichever. Maybe you don't like me, maybe you like me, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I want you to see engaged. That's why I said switch on your videos, and it's commitment to your growth, so that you're not passively watching this, you are like actively watching this. Active listening would be great. And that's why we are in Toastmasters. Like when Bai Fangli went and at the age 74 to 90 to ride that pedicab and raise $50,000, he was committed to the growth of his children in his community. And your actions directly contribute to the development and improvement of your community. Would you agree? If you agree, put on yes. If you agree to any of these, put on yes in the chat. Let's have a look. Are you engaged here with me today? Come on, let's see. So now you get, right, what community is about. I mean, service is about. It's about community building. It's about stewardship. It's committed to growth and to growth of each other. So when I'm serving, I need to be served back with your videos open. Simple. We are serving each other. I don't like one-way streets, by the way. It's very lonely otherwise. Let's look at other perspectives on service that I have discovered in Toastmasters. See, I have found that people like status, titles, to be seen, and the self-importance. And I think service is more than just status, titles, and self-importance. It's more about what we just talked about, right? Selflessly doing something, not for the purpose of recognition, though of course recognition is always there in Toastmasters, is our key foundation thing. But we are doing it not for a recognition purpose. I don't do anything for recognition purpose. I don't even hang my DTM plugs and so on anywhere. I don't even put DTM behind my name normally. Only on occasions where I'm really called to do that. I mean, I'm not discouraging you, but you know what I'm saying is, let us do things not for the status, but to serve and make this community better, right? This service to me, to be present to somebody that we are serving, or the community that I'm serving. That's why I asked you to switch on your video, so that you could be present to me and I could be present to you. So when we are present to each other, then we are serving each other, rather than positioning, right? I'm not here for, you know, positioning myself in a certain way, marketing myself, branding myself, you know, trying to appear like a leader, power and control and all that. No, it's presence. Listening to you, you listen to me. When we listen carefully to somebody who's there, be interested in them rather than being interesting, be interested, right? And to understand where they come from. That is when we can begin to inspire people, to have that presence. And when you have that presence, ladies and gentlemen, right, you begin to connect with people. When connection is so important, that is the key ingredient of my success in Toastmasters or anywhere else, is connection. If you're not connecting with other human beings and creating relationships, then our Toastmasters clubs and our districts and areas would begin to crumble. And we need to create strong connections so that it creates community. And connection rather than controlling people and say, do this, do that, and authoritative, no, but connection in terms of, who are you? Can I get to know you? Let's get to know each other, right? Being genuinely interested in people. That's the connection I mean, relatedness. Or, of course, we call it love. I call it love. That's what I mean by connection. Loving each other as human beings. Having empathy. Support. How can I help you? How can I support you? And I need help and I need support. And that can only happen when you're truly, genuinely connected with others. That is part of service. Would you agree? Anybody? Yes? I see a lot of yeses on the screen. I love it. I think people are getting engaged here. We are talking, we're having a conversation together. I love it. Thank you. What are the other aspects of service? I think adding value. We add value. Every day you meet people, you say, who can I add value to? How can I, when I begin to add value, of course, then they begin to value me. I'm being valued because I add value. The more value you add, the more extra mile you go for that excellence, that service, and provide something for somebody, the more you will be valued. But that is not why we are doing service, but it just is a byproduct of services that you begin to be valued. People will call upon you. All the time I get calls from all over the world saying, can you come and speak to me? Can you be on this panel? Can you help my club? Can I meet with you? Because I keep adding value. The more value I add, the more calls I get. And sometimes I say, I don't have the time, right? But it is such a pleasure to serve in that way. Like, you know, Jadel Payeng started planting trees, 40 years. And Dashrath Manji, why was it chiseling? I'll get back to that. Why was it chiseling the cliff for 22 years? What was he doing? Community is so important. How we are adding value to our community. Critical. What else is service to me in the 27 years that I've been in Toastmasters? Service is about being generous, giving of your time, rather than saying, I'm busy, and we all are busy, aren't we? Deborah here, are you busy, Deborah? But you are here serving. What are you doing here, Deborah? You shouldn't be here. You're busy. Leanne, you're busy, but you're here serving. You're being generous. Right? Service is all about generosity. When somebody spends 40 years planting trees and nobody's recognizing this guy and he doesn't want a certificate, no recognition, and builds a jungle by family at the age of 74, until the age of 90, rides a pedicab and raises $50,000 for his community, children in his community. Nobody was giving him any certificates, right? He was serving. He was being generous. That's what I mean by generosity. It's just such an incredible thing that when something comes from your heart, and it's all about not worrying about what it's going to cost, but more about what it's going to do. Right? It's about others. It's not about yourself. That is service. Service is about a mind, an abundance mindset. It's a growth mindset. It's an expansion of ourselves when we begin to serve. Because when we begin to serve, we need to understand our community. We need to understand who we are serving and just give. Right? It's an abundance mindset. And when I say, give back to me by switching on your videos, I'm not being scarce. I want more abundance so that when there's a flow of energy, it gets bigger, very much more quicker. That's abundance mindset versus, of course, a mindset that is scarcity. A scarcity mindset is, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this? That's the first thing we think about, right, at times. And when we stop thinking about the scarcity and what's in it about me and myself and my importance, that's when we begin to truly, genuinely serve and make a difference and make an impact, be the difference that makes a difference. So it's going from scarcity to an abundance mindset is service. It's growth and it's development. And the worst thing is, of course, is to stop. Who is going to like me? We all know, right? We always want validation and recognition, and then we are avoiding rejection. I'll try and behave myself so that I can avoid rejection. I'll have to do this sort of things so that I can avoid rejection. Or I can't say no, or I must say yes, or whatever it is for validation and rejection. And that destroys service. Service is a selflessly giving. You're not worried about validation. Not everybody likes you, right? Do you like everyone? No, you don't. And so you don't expect everyone to like you. So will some people reject you? Yeah. Does everyone on this screen like me? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not worried. Yeah, right? You agree? When you stand up to do a speech, you're serving your audience. And you're not worried. If you start getting worried, are these people liking it? Can I avoid rejection? And your speech goes, would you agree? Same way, service is like that. To truly serve from your heart, you have to forget about who's liking me, who's rejecting me, what can I do here, that becomes very political, right? The status, the privilege, the entitlement part of it kicks in with this. So be generous, have an abundant mindset, and just serve. In my experience, now let me talk about how I've put this into practice. Over the past 3-4 years, the pandemic has been there for almost 4 years now. Oh my goodness. Well, was, and now it's almost gone. Some people say it's coming back. But this is what we did, and I did, and my team did, was I was a coach for a club, which had only 2 members, and we raised it to 53 members and one of the top 4 clubs globally. And then I created Leadership Speak, which is now one of the top 5 clubs globally. And what we did was we took leadership skills. And just give me a second. So can I ask the host to enable sharing or whatever, or make me co-host so I can share something? Thank you. So all I'm going to share is just some sound effects. I love sound effects. So I took leadership skills. What are the key leadership skills that we can take, and some of them that I just mentioned, and we took highly skilled people who are techies, and I learned technology myself as well, and upskilled my technology skills, right? And together with leadership and technology skills, what we did was we created service, an unprecedented level of service. And this service was so excellent that when there were 2 members in the club, that's it, there were only 2, and we raised it to 53 members. We said that we will be world-class online club. This was just at the start of the pandemic, February of 2020. I was the club coach. So we took this triad and served our constituents to build the club. Now it's hard work. So everything that I said came into practice to be able to do that, to be generous, to have an abundance mindset, to think outside the box, to begin to serve the community and the constituents that we had, right? And eventually, within 4 months, from 2 members, we became presidents distinguished. We had 23 members, and the year later, within that year, 53 members. Now, I'm only saying this not to sort of blow my horn, but to show that when you have service and you include excellence, which you will hear about in a couple of weeks' time, excellence, then what happens is that you're creating an experience. The level of service that you provide creates an experience for your constituents, people that you're serving, and that creates the engagement. So in your own clubs, how are you serving? Get to understand how you're serving your constituents, which is your guests and your members and your executive team, that is creating that engagement. Like you all know, when you go to a restaurant and you walk into a restaurant and you're served, immediately somebody comes and says, okay, please wait, and you'll be seated. What's your name? They take down your name, and then the waiter comes along and shows you your table, and you're seated, and then, that level of service where you want to go back again, right? That's a different type of service than when you arrive at the restaurant, it says, please wait to be seated, and you stand there, nobody's there, and 5 minutes later, somebody comes along. That's a different type of service. So what sort of service are you? How are you serving, right? And that is what I'm talking about. You have to really be driven by leadership as to, am I learning the key skills about leadership? Am I serving my constituents? And by what I have done, by learning about service and about a high level of excellence in our service, what we've done is thousands of people have come to my events, my individual events, not the area, not the division, not the district, my own particular events that I do projects from Pathways. Thousands of people have come through since the year 2000 by serving. This is what Albert Schweitzer said. Now, of course, again, famous name, I said, I want to quote famous names, except, of course, I'll quote 2 names here because they say something profound. And Albert Schweitzer said this: I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the only ones among you who will really be happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. Serving makes me happy. When I see somebody growing and glowing and developing, when you do something for somebody, and it makes a difference, don't you feel happy? Right? We all do. When they're truly, genuinely growing and developing, and it makes a difference in their lives, we become happy. That's what I mean by generosity. And this is what Gandhi said. Gandhi said this: the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. When you're serving others, you begin to understand, you become more self-aware, you begin to understand yourself because you're creating a relationship with others, you're connecting. When you connect with others and there's a relationship, you begin to understand yourself. Oh, what am I doing to create this sort of a relationship? What can I do to adjust myself here? What can I do to listen actively? What can I do to understand better here? What can I do to inspire? What can I do to be genuinely interested? What can I do to care about these people? Right? It all comes with service, and that is growth. That is development. And that's what Mahatma Gandhi meant, is you find yourself as to who am I, what am I doing here, and why am I doing this? So now, having said that, I will come to that story of Dashrath Manji in a second. But what I'll do is, right now, let's go and have some questions. Right? If you have any questions for me. So Deborah, I'm running a bit early. Is that okay? And we are going to question and answers about service and how to serve and how to make a difference. And anything that you need to learn, please raise your hand or put it in the chat. Or if Deborah, you can see somebody raise their hand. If I don't see them, please call them and we can have a chat.
There is one question in the chat.
Sure.
One member is asking, could we get more detail on increasing club membership and at least one example?
Could we have, oh, there it is, details on increasing club membership or at least one example. Okay. So if you can actually put this member on and allow them to speak and spotlight them so I can have a conversation with them, that'll be great, even better, so that I can understand exactly where they're coming from.
So for our tech person, that's Shelley.
But while the technology is setting you up and spotlighting and if you've done it in your video, I can see you next to me here, is one of the things is, so because I'm talking in the blank, so exactly I don't know where you're coming from. Oh, there you are. But Shelley, let me just finish what I'm saying anyways, and then I'll ask you exactly what you meant, because there's so many aspects to this. But when a guest comes to your club, I find this in the virtual world, but also in a physical world, and I operate in both the worlds, and I've succeeded widely in both the worlds because of the service. When we are having a virtual meeting and a guest enters the room, how soon after do you greet them? My rule is 30 seconds. It's a 30-second rule. When a guest arrives at your doorstep, they should be greeted within 30 seconds. I find that in a virtual world, members are talking amongst themselves. Actually, there'll be two members, they'll be talking to each other because it's a virtual world and only two people can have a conversation at a time. And the guest is ignored and the guest waits for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Finally, somebody says, oh, there's a guest here. Let's introduce ourselves to the guest. And so you've lost the guest. I find that even if you're having a conversation and suddenly a guest arrives, that even if you're half a sentence through whatever you're saying, just stop and be focused on the guest. Can you imagine a couple of waiters talking, when you enter the restaurant, and the waiters are talking to each other and they see somebody, but they keep talking to each other. You'll go to the next restaurant next door, greet your guests, and so on and so forth. But let me ask you, Shelley, what exactly did you mean by that? In what respect? Are you getting guests, or are you doing open houses? Where are you coming from, Shelley?
We're doing about one open house a month, and some of it is like where to find guests. So what I've done in the past is when a guest come and we're doing a roundtable introduction, we ask them, like, how did you find out about us? So we know what's working and what's not working as far as our advertising. But it's then the conversion too from a guest to a member. And we don't seem to be very good at that part.
So conversion is not very difficult if you're very confident about what you're doing. It's like when as soon as you enter a restaurant and somebody will straight away come to you and say, sir, madam, what's your name? Can we take your name down? Right? And here's the menu. Have a look at the menu. Here's the agenda. Look at the agenda. This is what we do. At the end of the meeting, we'll ask you how we did. Please sit through the meeting, and during the break, you may even ask us questions if there's a break, right? And at the end of the meeting, sir, madam, how did you find this meeting? Thank you very much. Did you learn something? Is it something that you really wanted? Is it what you came here for? And did you find it here? They'll say yes, of course, because and if your meeting is of high quality, they'll be like, wow, I want to come back. If your meeting is not of high quality, like when the time starts to start the meeting and the people are running around looking for, oh, this role player isn't there and that role player isn't there, they won't be impressed. It doesn't matter what you do after that. So quality meetings, high quality meetings using technology and your leadership skills. And then at the very beginning, here's the menu, here's the agenda. At the end of the meeting, this is what I do. Did you find what you came here for? Did you learn something? So the 2 questions. And I say, what would it take for you to be a member here? I don't tell them, go to this club and go to that club. I say, what would it take for you to be a member here? Why do I say that? Even if they've come for the first time, is because I know I provide the top service, the most excellent service that you can ever find anywhere. And when I'm providing that sort of a service, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to ask, join now. Why do you want to sort of waste time? Let's get all you on board. And it's only $60 every 6 months plus whatever your club dues are. Let's do a deal. So that's what I do. And it's very clear to them, yes, and I said, next week, come back next week, you become a member today, next week, I'll have you on the agenda. And I'll have a mentor for you in between now and next week. If it's I'll make you a quiz master or grammarian or timer, the small little roles, and I'll have somebody mentor you during that time. In the physical world, in 3 or 4 months, I had 16 people join. This is just before the pandemic, until my club executive threw up their hands and said, don't please enroll any more new members. We can't handle it. So it is about how you talk to the guest, how you greet them, how you take them through the process to the end. So you're always serving with generosity, with an abundance mindset, and with confidence that your service is the best service. You're serving at the highest level. So that there's no question that they will not join. They have to join.
So when you had 2 members, did you enlist help?
Sorry?
I said, when you had 2 members, did you enlist help from other clubs? Because you can't
Absolutely,
have a
yes, we
meeting with
did.
2 people.
So absolutely, I did. So connection is part of the thing, right? It's a connect with other people. So there was a book about 25, 30 years ago that came out. It says, dig your well before you are thirsty. So when you're in Toastmasters, don't be sort of so insular and you don't know anybody else outside of your club. Visit other clubs, make connections, visit your areas, visit your division and your district, and make connections so that when you are in need, you can call on those people. Every meeting, when I joined as a coach, every meeting had about 18 to 20 people from the area, from the division, from the district, because I knew that. And I said, I called them and said, come to the meeting. I need you. And I want you to hold this role. And when they came in, they saw the high level of excellence. They kept coming back every week. This 18, 19, 20 people, sometimes 25 people, the same people kept coming back for 3 months. And in the end, they threw up their hand and said, please, here's my money. Take my money. I want to be a member here. I don't see this sort of level of service anywhere else. It is service. It is absolutely service. How you serve people. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. How are you going to serve? When you walk into a restaurant, there are restaurants that you want to keep going back to, and there are restaurants that you walk once and you don't even want to eat there sometimes. Right? Shelley? Yes?
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome. It is all in service, and how you're generous, how you're listening, how you're providing value, how you're adding value every day to your constituents, to your guests, to your members. Retention is so important. It's all in service.
Thank you very much. We have 2 more questions and we're at 5:30. So we got 4.5 minutes for 2 questions. Could we please spotlight Marvin Henry? And Marvin's question is, how do you handle barriers in service?
How do I barriers in service? I mean,
How do
what
you
are the
handle
barriers?
barriers in service?
Put him on, because I don't know what the barriers. I've never come across any barriers in my life, Marvin.
You haven't?
What are your barriers?
Well, people not working with you, or people not doing what they could do. Resources, guess people not responding to you, or guess not enough resources, or not enough other things. Yeah.
So what sort of resources does the Toastmaster need? How to get to the club, or how to switch on Zoom?
Well, I guess
What resources do you need in
I guess
Toastmasters?
the main barrier is it takes a team to do things, and when you don't have a team, or a team is not working in sync, then
Okay,
there's
so
barriers.
you're talking about how to grow a team around you, right?
Or how to make a team, how to motivate a team, yes, how to inspire the team to work with you.
Yes. And so, I just was talking to Shelly about that, as to why this 18 to 20, 25 people kept coming back week after week after week, the same people. How did I even get them to even come for the first time, right? Because I made connections with them, right? And I was genuinely interested in them. And when you are genuinely interested in people, when you know that that you care for them and you care about them, and you listen and you begin to understand, and when you ask them, what's your goal and how can I help you and how can I support you? There's no other better way to create a relationship in Toastmasters than that. And then you sort of constantly keep in touch with people. And you constantly, when you go to your other clubs and other divisions, and you say, hello, hey, how are you? See, here's the thing, and this is so true about Toastmasters, and I may take a little bit more time here, if I may, Debbie, is, there was this 20th anniversary happening at my old club. I still call it my home club, because I raised it in 2015 to be one of the top clubs in the district. And I haven't been a member there for 4 years, but they had their 20th anniversary, and I was invited with other people, all the past members and present members. I walk into the room and I see clusters of people here, a cluster of people here, and a cluster of people here talking to each other. And throughout the evening, throughout the event, whenever we had breaks or whenever we got again together, conversations, the same cluster of people would get together and not talking to each other, but to the same people, right? And even in clubs on a regular basis, when you go, the same people are engaged with each other and they don't talk to other people. When I walk into a room, I greet and I walk around the room and I greet everyone. I get to know everyone. I get to know all the names. And then on this 20th anniversary, I saw a couple of people who were sitting on the chairs, but everyone was standing and having a chat. So I would go to the person sitting on the chair by themselves and introduce myself to them and say, hey, how are you? Are you a guest or are you a new member? What are you? And she said, I'm a guest. I said, come with me. Let me talk to you. And I talked to her and I said, come, let me introduce you to somebody else. And I introduced her to all the members in the club. And then I would also rotate and talk to everyone. Guess what happens that way is that you create connections. You get to know everybody, not just one or two people here, one or two people over there. That is what we do in Toastmasters, is to get to know everybody. It's okay to spend 30 seconds here and 1 minute there, rather than I must talk to this person for 10 minutes and I got God knows what. You can always over the phone later on or after the meeting go and hang out and have coffee if you wished. All right, but get to know everyone in your club, in your area, in your district. Marvin, how many people do you know in your club? How many people are you connected with in your own club that you know very well, that do anything for you? Starts with you, Marvin. Starts with you, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
It's connection. Service is all about connection. When you're in your serving mode, you are interested in them, And it's not that, someday I'll be thirsty, so I'll need you. That's why I need to get to know you. That is like status and positioning, and it's not presence. It is not about being generous. It's not about adding value. Right? So it's the mindset that you come with, and also the willingness to get out of your shell. Even if you're an introvert, and I'm a high introvert, by the way, extreme introvert, but I have learned to say hello and to network. It's a networking skill, right? You have to network. So that's the thing. Networking is all about service, anyways, because when you're networking, you're serving people. You're not just getting the names down and I'll call on this person when I need something. That's not networking. Networking is about giving first and adding value first. You read any good quality networking book. By the way, Dig Your Well and Before You're Thirsty is a great networking book, written many years ago, but it's all about networks. Thank you, Marvin. Deborah, anything else I can do for you here?
I want to give you a few minutes for your closing remarks. So for the one outstanding question, Mary, please email it to me. You have my email address, and I will send it to Brahm, and we will get an answer for you. So Brahm, I turn it back to you for your closing remarks.
Thank you very much. So service. To recap, and you are still wondering, the Dashrath Manji, hammering away, right? So services in the end is all about legacy. It's you're building a legacy. So you have to come with a mindset of not about self-importance, but about your significance in terms of the impact you're going to be making and the difference that you're going to be making. So you're building a legacy of some sort, a foundation on which other people can build and create whatever they're creating, right? So you're leaving behind a legacy when you're serving. And when you serve with great eminence and a devotion, what you do for others lives on forever. You may not be on CNN. You may not be on CNBC. You may not be on big newspapers or Time magazine, right? But you may be an unsung hero, but you're serving. And even when you create a club that grows, or your area grows, or your division grows, or your district grows, as Deborah here and Leanne here are doing for the district, right? So, Dashrath Manji, the remarkable story of determination and selfless service. What happened is that this is a small remote village in India. And they had to go around the ridge and over the cliffs to go to the nearest town, was 70 kilometers away. One day, this guy's wife fell and injured herself. They couldn't get her to the hospital in time. Near this village, there was this big cliff. And in this big cliff, he said, if I cut through this cliff, the distance to the nearest town where the hospital was will be 15 kilometers rather than the 70 kilometers around the way. He took it upon himself, chisel and hammer, sold all his possessions, chipping away at the cliff. 22 years. As the years passed by, he would turn up every day to chip at the cliff. And 22 years later, he had built a pathway, paving the way to the nearest city so that the people could go and visit that city much more quicker. Now, the government did not pave the way, put tarmac and all that. He had created the path himself, and the government much later on actually then paved the way by putting in, the tarmac and whatever they needed to. But he, on his own, for 22 years, selflessly serving his community, was building community. There was stewardship in the community, and there was commitment to the growth of the people. That is service. I promise you, when you put this into practice and everything else that I've said, right, you will grow community. So service is more than just titles, status, positioning, power, prestige, and entitlement. It's much, much more than that. It is about connection. It is about genuine understanding, caring about people, knowing people, connecting with people. It's about presence. It's about growth. It's about developing, right? And guess what is Deborah doing? She's doing the same thing. She's building a community. This is what Leanne is doing. They are paving the way to Regina. So I hope all of you will come to Regina in May at the district conference. Thank you very much. Over to you, Debbie. And thank you for your service, Debbie and Leanne.
Thank you, Brahm, and thank you for those truly inspiring stories of everyday people who can make a significant impact on the lives of others through service, whether it's a small gesture or a grandiose act like building a path through a cliff. I really connected with your comments on stewardship and generosity and being part of a community. I know that in my time in Toastmasters, I have been the benefactor of many other people's service. In District 42, as you mentioned, will be an opportunity to help build those connections. So to tell us more about that, I'm going to hand the virtual stage over to our Education Chair, Debbie Walker.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Brahm, there's a few comments already coming into the chat. Wonderful lessons, thank you. Wonderful message of service. Wow, thank you. Thank you for your message. Service is so important. Excellent stories that emphasize service. Thank you, Brahm, for an excellent message as well as your answers to the questions. To all of our attendees here today, I will be sending you an email with a few questions in it for your feedback, so you can look for that. And thank you for your comments and feedback. And a huge thank you to Brahm for coming today and serving us, speaking on the topic of service. I'm so grateful. It was fantastic, and I am thrilled and over the moon. All right, a few announcements about the upcoming conference. Announcement number 1, there are 3 opportunities at the conference for 3 fortunate Toastmasters to put on a 1-hour workshop, which would take place on the Saturday afternoon. If you are interested in submitting a proposal for a workshop, please refer to the current issue of the dispatch that came out on January 1. There's the email address in there that you can reach out to me, and I can get the proposal document to you for you to complete. Announcement number 2. The Road to Regina is a series of 4 1-hour virtual sessions. The next session, the next stop on our road, is Saturday, February the 10th. Please mark your calendars and register if you have not done already. Our guest speaker for that day is none other than our current Toastmasters International President, Marag Matheson. She is the second ever international president from Europe and the first female international president from outside of North America. She will be joining us from her home in Germany on February the 10th. You are not going to want to miss it. And the core value she will be speaking on is integrity. Now, for the drum roll, are you ready for the announcement of who our conference keynote speaker is going to be? I'm going to share my screen. Here it is.
Are you going to join us at the district conference? Check out this brand new keynote, 17 minutes to your dream. Transform into the speaker and leader you want to be. Hey there, this is Darren LaCroix, and in 2001, I outspoke 25,000 contestants from 14 countries to be the world champion of public speaking. But I didn't do it alone. My coaches were critical. What I learned along the way was transformational. A few years after winning the World Championship, I was at a district in Vancouver, Canada. I had a session at the end where I was doing a Q&A, and a young man in front of me asked a question. He said, "What are you working on now? What's your big dream now?" Great question. Check this out. No one comes to Toastmasters to be a better speaker or leader at Toastmasters. We come to be better in the real world. So are you truly getting out of Toastmasters all that you can? Look, I struggled. I've gone for dreams while I had a day job. In fact, this is an article that was written about me struggling for my dream and my day job at the same time. It's not easy, but I'm going to show you in this special keynote how you can get much more out of your Toastmasters experience to grow yourself as a leader and as a presenter. Hey, if you're a leader, you got to be a great presenter. It's Toastmasters. Join me for this special keynote, and you're going to learn something called AII. You might have heard of AI or EI, but AII is going to change how you look at your own personal growth. Look, there are some people who use this simple proven concept, some of my students, and here's what they had to say about how this simple strategy helped them grow.
I've become a better speaker. I've become a better listener. I've become a better thinker.
I started a podcast. Through this,
You will see that growth visually.
just moved me toward being this person who was comfortable with myself and with being seen through that lens by others. And that was huge. That was huge.
Join me for the upcoming district conference. Save your seat. Reconnect with old friends. Meet new friends. But you got to be at the district conference. Save your seat. Join me.
You are not going to want to miss this. This is big. This is bigger than big. Darren will be arriving in Regina around 5 o'clock on Friday. He will be with us for the entire day on Saturday, giving the 17 minutes to your dream keynote speech and a workshop in the afternoon that's going to involve live coaching that might just very well involve some of you. And then he's going to be around for the rest of the day. If you have not heard of Stage Time University, Darren founded this out of his home in Las Vegas, Nevada. Check it out. There's going to be opportunities here to purchase a membership and continue your journey, continue to get coaching, continue your learning. This is big. Make sure you put Regina on your calendar for May so you can engage with him in person. And I now turn it back to our district conference chair, Leanne Woodhouse.
Thank you very much, Debbie. I am certainly looking forward to hearing and learning from Darren. Registration for the conference will be opening up shortly, and information will be posted on the District 42 website and on the social media channels. The host hotel in Regina will be the Doubletree Hilton Hotel. And for those that will need a hotel room, they are offering us a special rate of $119 plus tax, which also includes breakfast for those that will be staying. Information on that as well will be included on the conference page of the District 42 website. In addition, Daisy Way, our program quality director, is working on arranging bus transportation from Calgary so you can travel in comfort and ease. Information and costs will be included on the registration page as well. So before we adjourn, a final reminder to don't forget to register for our second stop on the road to Regina on February 10th, featuring Morag Matheson. Thank you for starting on this journey with us, and see you on the road to Regina.
Have a terrific weekend, everyone. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you as we continue to pave the way.